Taxi, the iconic sitcom, portrayed with both humor and emotion the lives of New York City taxi drivers and their quirky passengers, featuring a talented cast that included Danny DeVito, Judd Hirsch, and Andy Kaufman. But behind the scenes, tragedy has eventually come for each of the cast members over the past 46 years. Some passed away quietly, unnoticed, while others revealed hidden truths they had kept from the public until now. In this video, we'll uncover their real names, unexpected tragedies, and the mysterious corners of their lives. You're going to be surprised. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go. Jeff Conaway as Bobby Wheeler. Jeffrey Charles William Michael Conaway, born October 5, 1950, in Manhattan, New York, was a rising star best known for his role as Bobby Wheeler in Taxi, 1978 to 1982. At 28, he portrayed a handsome, optimistic cab driver dreaming of becoming a famous actor, a role that delivered laughs but bitterly mirrored his own life. Jeff Conaway seemed to have it all: striking looks, fame from Grease and Taxi, and a promising future in entertainment. But behind the spotlight was a shattered soul. His parents divorced when he was just 3 years old. A childhood marked by abandonment, abuse, and sexual assault left deep, unhealed wounds. A back injury during the filming of the Greased Lightning scene plunged him into the dark cycle of painkillers and severe addiction. His career crumbled, relationships fell apart. He went through 3 failed marriages, lived in isolation, and spiraled into drug and alcohol abuse, with repeated relapses after unsuccessful rehab attempts. On Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, he appeared broken, confined to a wheelchair, barely able to speak, frequently threatening suicide due to unbearable physical and emotional pain. On May 11, 2011, he was found unconscious due to complications from pneumonia and sepsis, a direct result of long-term addiction that had destroyed his immune system. After nearly 2 weeks in a coma, his family made the heartbreaking decision to remove life support. Jeff Conaway passed away on the morning of May 27, 2011, at the age of 60. Doctors stated Jeff's death was the result of addiction. He aspirated his vomit from an overdose, which caused pneumonia and irreversible brain damage. There was no grand funeral, no statue or tribute. Jeff Conaway slipped away quietly, just as Hollywood had forgotten him. Danny DeVito as Louis De Palma. Daniel Michael DeVito, Jr., born November 17, 1944 in Neptune, New Jersey, is one of the most irreplaceable icons of American television. In 1978, at age 34, he took on the role of Louis De Palma, a cunning, scheming, but hilariously unforgettable dispatcher in Taxi. His performance over 114 episodes earned him both an Emmy and a Golden Globe and cemented his status as a legend in the hearts of viewers. Though he stands just 4 feet 10 inches due to a rare condition called multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, DeVito never allowed his physical limitations to hinder his artistic ambitions. He shined not only as an actor, but also as a powerhouse director and producer, contributing to acclaimed works like Pulp Fiction and Erin Brockovich. However, fame never came without a cost. His marriage of over 30 years to actress Rhea Perlman, his partner since Taxi, ultimately ended in separation in 2017. Though never officially divorced, the two chose to live apart while maintaining a close friendship to raise their 3 children. The end of their long-lasting love saddened many, reflecting the quiet fatigue of 2 souls who had shared too much under the spotlight. At 80 years old, Danny DeVito remains active in the entertainment industry, starring in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, directing films, and occasionally voicing characters in major projects. Still, he now lives more discreetly, keeping a low profile and steering clear of public drama. Judd Hirsch as Alex Reiger. Judd Seymour Hirsch, born March 15, 1935 in the Bronx, New York, was 43 years old when he took on the role of Alex Reiger in Taxi in 1978, making him the oldest member of the main cast. His character, a calm taxi driver who had been divorced and lost custody of his child, often masked a deep loneliness beneath his composed exterior. Alex Rieger was the heart of the show, a wise and compassionate man navigating life amid eccentric co-workers and the chaos of urban living. Though not as dazzlingly famous as some of his peers, Hirsch built a steady, highly respected career spanning more than 50 years, admired by both colleagues and critics. But behind the scenes, his personal life was far from smooth. A former U.S. Army serviceman and electrical engineer for Westinghouse, Hirsch abandoned a stable career at age 36 to pursue acting, when many his age had already settled down with families and secure jobs. Yet his personal life saw its share of turbulence. Hirsch experienced 2 failed marriages. His first, to Elisa Sadon, 1963 to 1967, lasted 4 years and produced 1 son. He later married fashion designer Bonnie Chalkin in 1992, but they divorced in 2005. This second breakup, occurring when he was already in his 70s, was especially painful, as it's an age when many yearn for peace after a long career. He has 3 children, Alex, Montana, and London, but rarely discusses his family life in interviews, suggesting that private hardships may have shaped this reticence. At 89 years old in 2025, Judd Hirsch shows no signs of stopping. He continues to deliver high-quality supporting roles in television and film, most recently in The Fabelmans by Steven Spielberg, a testament to the enduring vitality of a living legend. He remains a spiritual father to many younger actors in the industry. Andy Kaufman as Latka Gravis. Andy Kaufman was born on January 17, 1949. He joined Taxi in 1978 at just 29 years old, portraying Latka Gravis, a naive, eccentric foreign mechanic who captured millions of viewers' hearts with his sincerity and one-of-a-kind humor. But off-screen, his life was a series of psychological struggles, isolation, and a death so mysterious it still leaves people wondering, was it all just a joke? Kaufman never saw himself as a comedian. He was a performance artist, someone who shattered the line between reality and illusion. He created the character Tony Clifton, a sleazy lounge singer, and performed so convincingly that the public couldn't tell what was real. That's why, when he suddenly died on May 16, 1984, at the age of 35 from lung cancer, many believed it was his final act. The strange thing was, Kaufman didn't smoke, a common cause of the cancer he had. He underwent radiation therapy and even sought psychic surgery in the Philippines, an unscientific treatment method revealing his desperation in the fight against his illness. He died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles just months after his diagnosis and was buried at Beth David Cemetery in New York. His death was officially confirmed with a death certificate, yet for decades, some still believe he faked it. Andy Kaufman lived in solitude. He never married, didn't publicly acknowledge his daughter until after his death, and practiced meditation as a form of escape. Though hilarious on stage, in real life he was misunderstood, often isolated, and constantly torn between creative passion and inner pain. His death was shocking, not just because it came too soon, but because it left the world unsure of what was real and what was performance. And maybe that's exactly what Andy wanted, a final vanishing act that would never truly end in the minds of his audience. Christopher Lloyd as Reverend Jim Ignatowski. Christopher Allen Lloyd was born on October 22, 1938, in Stamford, Connecticut. When he joined Taxi in 1979 as Reverend Jim, he was already 40, an age often considered old in the entertainment world. But his portrayal of Reverend Jim, a goofy former hippie, won him 2 Emmy Awards and elevated him to the ranks of television legends. Behind the stage lights, Christopher Lloyd carried many invisible scars. Born into a wealthy family, his grandfather founded Texaco, Lloyd had every material advantage but lacked emotional closeness. After losing his father at 21, he turned deeply inward, finding escape in art and performance. His film career has spanned over 60 years, filled with iconic roles like Doc Brown in Back to the Future and Judge Doom in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. In acting, he found refuge, but also lost his personal balance. Lloyd battled long-term alcoholism, which strained his health and relationships for years. He married 5 times and divorced 4, never had children, and lived alone for a time after his Montecito home was destroyed in the 2008 Tea Fire. Though it seemed he might be consumed by emotional turmoil and an unstable past, Lloyd found strength in his work. He continued acting steadily in both film and television, appearing in The Mandalorian and even voicing characters in the Kingdom Hearts video game series. By 2025, at age 86, Christopher Lloyd was still performing, still appearing at Comic-Con events, and still being lovingly called Doc Brown by generations of fans. Jack Gilford as Joe Ryger. Jack Gilford, born Jacob Aaron Gelman on July 25, 1908 in New York City, appeared in Taxi in 1979 as Joe Ryger, the warm, emotional father of Alex. He was 71 at the time. Though his role only spanned a few episodes, it left a lasting impression as a wise, heartfelt father figure who truly listened. The child of Romanian Jewish immigrants, Jack grew up in the impoverished heart of Brooklyn and found his voice through an unusual talent, mimicking the sound of fluorescent lights and boiling pea soup with his face. It was the beginning of a journey for a performer who could make you laugh while breaking your heart. But laughter wasn't always enough to survive. During the dark era of McCarthyism, Gilford and his wife, actress Madeline Lee, were named in hearings before the House Un-American Activities Committee for suspected communist sympathies. Though never convicted, they were silently condemned by Hollywood, blacklisted, denied work, abandoned by friends, and stripped of their reputations. Throughout the 1950s, they borrowed money to raise their 3 children, living through scorn and silence from the very industry they had once served. When the political nightmare faded, Gilford returned to the stage with sorrowful eyes and unshaken resolve. His performances in Cabaret, Once Upon a Mattress, and Save the Tiger were not just art. They were declarations. He stood tall, even when his own country turned its back on him. In his final years, he kept acting, his body weakened by stomach cancer, but his spirit remained bright. On June 4, 1990, Jack Gilford passed away at home in Greenwich Village at the age of 81. He was buried in the Yiddish theater section of Mount Hebron Cemetery, a powerful statement that he would always belong to the stage. His wife, Madeline, lived another 18 years but never stopped telling his story, and their son, Joe Gilford, transformed the pain of his parents' past into the play Finks, an unhealed scar in the story of America. Marilu Henner as Elaine Nardo. Marilu Henner, born on April 6, 1952 in Chicago, stepped into the role of Elaine Nardo in 1978 at just 26 years old. Across 114 episodes of Taxi, she portrayed a single mother driving a cab, strong, charming, and ever dreaming. But few people know that Marilu's real life is also a symphony of loss, resilience, and haunting memory. Henner is known not just for her acting. She is one of fewer than 100 people in the world with highly superior autobiographical memory. She can remember nearly every day of her life since the age of 11. For most, this would seem like a gift. But for Henner, it's a double-edged sword. Every heartbreak, every failure, every loss plays back in vivid slow motion. She lost both her parents at a young age, her mother to arthritis complications at 58, her father to a heart attack at 52. These devastating blows pushed Henner into a journey of wellness, embracing vegetarianism, exercise, writing books, and hosting health shows, as if trying to outrun her family's fate. Love hasn't been kind to her either. 2 marriages, first to director Robert Lieberman, then to producer Michael Brown, both ended in divorce. Though she has 2 sons, Henner had to learn how to be a single mom in real life, just like Elaine in Taxi. She once shared how exhausted she felt juggling work, parenting, and remembering everything, literally. But rather than crumble, she transformed her anxiety into drive, authoring 9 books, competing on Dancing with the Stars at age 64, and becoming a public health advocate. In 2025, at 72, Marilu Henner is still acting, still inspiring, and using her extraordinary memory to aid medical research. She's never let pain hold her back, because while she can't forget, she also refuses to let it control her life. Vincent Schiavelli as Reverend Gorky. Vincent Schiavelli, born November 11, 1948, was one of the most recognizable character actors in Hollywood, with his sorrowful eyes and lanky frame shaped by Marfan syndrome from a young age. In 1982, at age 34, he appeared in one episode of Taxi as Reverend Gorky, a quirky oddball priest whose brief screen time left a lasting impression. Schiavelli's career was not dazzling in the traditional sense, but he was a master of haunting, unforgettable supporting roles, from Fredricksen in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to the iconic subway ghost in Ghost. He was called America's greatest character actor, yet behind that artistic brilliance was a life marked by solitude and illness. His personal life was just as fragile. He married twice. The first, to actress Alice Beasley, ended in divorce after only 3 years. His second wife, a harpist, was with him until the end, but his relationship with his only son, Andrea, was strained and ultimately broken. Decades of smoking took their toll. On December 26, 2005, Vincent Schiavelli died of lung cancer in Polizzi Generosa, the ancestral town of his family in Sicily, where he had written, cooked, and tried to reconnect with a part of himself that had long been missing. He passed at age 57, his talent unfinished, his story quietly closed. Tony Danza as Tony Banta. Tony Danza, born Anthony Salvatore Iadanza on April 21, 1951, was a familiar face in the legendary sitcom Taxi, 1978 to 1983, where he played Tony Banta, a kind-hearted, naive part-time boxer. At just 27, Danza's role kicked off an unexpected journey from the brutal boxing ring to the Hollywood spotlight. With his rugged physique and earnest gaze, Danza quickly became a television star, later shining in Who's the Boss? And a string of hit shows. To get there, he had been a professional boxer with 8 knockout wins and a devastating loss in the New York Golden Gloves finals. It was the first time Danza realized that life demanded more than strength. It required heart. But that very heart bore the deepest wounds. His first wife, Rhonda Yeoman, was his college sweetheart. Their marriage ended after just 4 years. His second marriage to Tracy Robinson lasted nearly 2 decades, but quietly fell apart after years of separation. Danza later admitted that fame and career pressure made it impossible to be a full husband or father. Though he has 4 children, family relationships weren't always warm. At his peak, Danza lived fast, thrilled by performance, and often took dangerous risks, both on stage and off. In one live go-kart race on television, he nearly lost his life. The emotional scars ran deeper. He's openly spoken about battling loneliness, feeling lost, and fearing he'd one day be forgotten. But by 2025, at age 73, Tony Danza is still standing. He continues to act, teaches classes, writes books, and cooks with his son, trying to reconnect with what he once lost. No longer the young boxer, Danza is now a symbol of resilience, a testament that even the deepest wounds can heal. Carol Kane as Simca Doblitz Gravas. Carol Kane, born June 18, 1952, is an American actress widely recognized for her role in Taxi, 1978 to 1983. During her time on the show from 1980 to 1983, she was between 28 and 31 years old. In Taxi, she portrayed Simca Dablitz Gravas, the eccentric yet devoted wife of Latka Gravas, a role that earned her 2 Emmy Awards and made her one of the show's most iconic characters. Under the spotlight, Carol embodied comedy. But behind the scenes, her life was a mosaic of loneliness and quiet wounds. Born into a Jewish family, Carol faced upheaval early. Her parents divorced when she was just 12 years old. Her childhood was a series of relocations. Paris, Haiti, New York. None of them ever felt like home. Only the stage gave her a sense of being heard. Though she had a prominent career with roles in Annie Hall, The Princess Bride, and Scrooged, Carol's private life painted a quieter, sadder picture. She once had a relationship with Woody Harrelson in the 1980s, but never married and never had children. In an interview, Carol candidly said, "I never felt stable enough to be a mother. I don't think everyone is born with that instinct." It's a simple statement, but one that reveals a soul deeply torn, always questioning whether she was truly worthy of being loved. Kane also battled long bouts of depression and anxiety, especially after stepping away from the spotlight of Taxi. Being typecast into quirky roles made it difficult for her to find her footing in the industry. At one point, she withdrew so much from public life that she nearly vanished from Hollywood, left only with her raspy voice, something she herself once despised and called an audio scar. As of 2025, Carol Kane is still alive at age 72. She continues acting, with recent roles in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and the feature film Between the Temples, where she plays an older woman rediscovering her identity by preparing for a bat mitzvah. Dick Miller as Ernie the waiter. Richard Miller, better known as Dick Miller, was born on December 25, 1928, and became one of the most distinctive and unforgettable faces in American film history. When he appeared on Taxi in 1979, he was 51, playing Ernie, the sharp, quick-witted waiter whose sarcasm left a mark even in a single episode. Just as he had in more than 180 films throughout his career, Dick Miller needed only minutes on screen to make viewers remember him. Once a psychology major, Miller entered Hollywood not with glamour, but with a weathered face and eyes filled with unease. He became the nameless familiar face in countless blockbusters like The Terminator, Gremlins, The Howling, and Piranha. He was never the lead, but no director who worked with him ever forgot to invite him back. Joe Dante even considered Miller a silent emblem of his entire career. Yet behind that seemingly steady career was a quiet bitterness. Miller was never truly recognized, and he knew it. The repetitive, often typecast roles made him feel like just another cog in a heartless entertainment machine. He once admitted feeling overlooked and forgotten, emotions that slowly eroded his spirit over time. In his personal life, he was married to Sheila Halpern from 1959 and had one daughter, but even family life was far from peaceful. Close friends revealed the marriage was marked by coldness, distance, and isolation, especially during Miller's declining years. By the late 2000s and 10s, he was suffering from severe pneumonia, which quickly weakened his already fragile heart. On January 30, 2019, Dick Miller passed away at his home in Toluca Lake, Los Angeles, from a heart attack while being treated for pneumonia. He was 90 years old, a quiet disappearance from the roles of Hollywood. Walter Olkowicz as Tom. Walter Olkowicz, born May 14, 1948, in Bayonne, New Jersey, was an American actor with a large frame and kind face, known for delivering broken but genuine laughs to television audiences in the 1980s. When he appeared in Taxi in 1980, he was 32, playing Tom, a minor character featured in just one episode, remembered for his goofy humor amid the show's usual absurdity. Though his screen time was brief, Walter stood out with his natural, relatable performance. Still, his career never quite reached stardom. Apart from his role as gangster Jacques Renault in the cult classic Twin Peaks, most of his roles were small, sometimes forgettable parts in a long list of supporting characters. His career was that of a perpetual understudy, rarely called onto the main stage. Later in life, Olkowicz endured a staggering 19 knee surgeries, a number he revealed in desperate-sounding YouTube videos that felt more like cries for help. The pain left him bedridden for years, costing him jobs, health insurance, dignity, and even friendships. His videos titled "To Steven Spielberg," "To Dolly Parton," "To John Goodman," were not just messages, but last-ditch efforts from a soul abandoned by the industry. In one message to John Larroquette, he admitted he hadn't acted in over 12 years due to his deteriorating health, only managing a brief return in 2 episodes of the 2017 Twin Peaks revival, a quiet farewell to the fans who remembered him. Walter Olkowicz died on April 6, 2021, at the age of 72, in his home in Reseda, California, after years of battling illness and long-standing emotional wounds. His death slipped silently past the attention of Hollywood. Bubba Smith as Lucius Franklin. Charles Aaron Bubba Smith, born February 28, 1945, was once one of the most powerful icons of American football before conquering the small screen. When he appeared on Taxi in 1982 at the age of 37, he played Lucius Franklin, a character who appeared in only 1 episode, but left a strong impression thanks to his towering physique, which contrasted sharply with his gentle and thoughtful personality. It was a small role, but it mirrored Bubba himself, strong, quiet, yet deeply wounded inside. His football career had once been glorious. The #1 pick in the 1967 NFL Draft, Bubba Smith played for the Colts, Raiders, and Oilers, and appeared in 2 Super Bowls. He won Super Bowl V but refused to wear his championship ring, believing the bitter loss in Super Bowl III had been rigged. That was the first blow to the Giants' pride. A field accident in 1972, when he collided with a steel pole during a game, caused a severe injury that sidelined him for the entire season and triggered 6 years of litigation. The damage wasn't just physical, it shattered his trust in the very system that had once hailed him as a warrior. After retiring from football, Smith found new light in the Police Academy films, playing Officer Moses Hightower, the gentle giant beloved worldwide. But fame couldn't save him from loneliness or the ghosts of physical and emotional pain. On August 3, 2011, Bubba Smith passed away at age 66 in his Los Angeles home. The official cause was acute drug intoxication combined with heart disease. His heart weighed nearly twice that of a healthy person, and his blood contained phentermine, a weight loss drug that can be fatal if misused. Alan Arbus as Jerry Martin. Alan Franklin Arbus, born February 15, 1918, left a lasting imprint on American arts and culture. When he appeared on Taxi in 1978 at age 60, he played Jerry Martin, a wise, composed man who often served as a quiet mentor to the younger cab drivers. His presence brought a gentle sense of peace to viewers, starkly contrasting with a life marked by loss. Before acting, Arbus was a renowned photographer, co-founding a photography empire in Manhattan with his former wife, the legendary Diane Arbus. They were not only artistic partners, but soulmates, seemingly inseparable. But behind the lens, their marriage was breaking. They separated in 1959 and divorced in 1969, just 2 years before Diane died by suicide in 1971. After the tragedy, Arbus abandoned photography and, at the age of 51, started over by moving to California to pursue acting, a bold and uncertain path. Yet in adversity, he found his shine. His role as psychiatrist Sidney Friedman on the war series MASH** earned him late-in-life recognition on American television. He went on to appear in over 70 film and TV projects, including Coffee, Damien, Omen 2, The Electric Horseman, and even Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2000. His personal life grew quieter after Diane's death. It wasn't until 1977 that he remarried, this time to actress Mara Clara Costello. Together, they had a daughter, Erin Arbus, who later became a prominent stage director. Although he built a new family, Arbus remained reserved and kept his personal life largely private. Alan Arbus passed away on April 19, 2013, at the age of 95 from congestive heart failure, a condition he had battled for years. He died quietly, was cremated, and his ashes were returned to his family. Taxi, 1978 to 1983, is not just a beloved memory. It left behind a legacy filled with emotional and tragic real-life stories from its cast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next incredible discovery. Which Taxi character is your favorite? Leave a comment below, and thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.